Hi, it's Catherine Morgan here, and I'm really excited to deliver this piece of training for you today. And today I wanted to tackle a topic that most of us can relate to, which is all about money mindset. Now, you may have heard this term kind of badged around, but what exactly is money mindset? So, if you've ever said to yourself, I'll never be able to afford that, or you maintain that kind of perspective that you'll never be as successful as other female entrepreneurs, the friends maybe that you hang around with, then you've encountered a negative money story. Now, money stories shape our behaviors around money. Money is not peace of mind. Money is not happiness. Money is not the answer to what you probably think that your life or your business needs right now. Money is neutral. But we aren't wired to kind of think like this. You know, you think about what you were taught about money at school or what you weren't taught about money at school, because maths was just a currency of money. X plus Y plus MC squared equals who knows, who cares? You know, we weren't taught how to manage money or even how to deal with money. So we rely on our internal belief systems and our money mindset. Now, I know what it's like to feel stuck in the wrong mindset and have no self-worth. I spent pretty much my entire teenage years starving myself and spending everything that I had on clothes in an attempt to make myself feel better, to try and kind of fill a void in my life. But I completely changed my mindset, rewrote my money story, changed my behaviors with money, which in turn changed my life and my bank balance. Because our relationship with money is so much more than just money. It's your mindset that controls your money. It decides how you feel about money. It decides how you behave with money. And many of us are stuck in this kind of money trap. We suffer from ostrich syndrome. You know, we kind of bury our heads in the sand and we carry on with the same habits that keep us stuck in that trap in the first place. And we think that by just having more money, that our problems will go away. Now, I bet you've said that, haven't you? I did exactly that when I was in my 20s. I yearned for the next payday because I thought that the more money I had, the more clothes I could buy, and then the hope that it would make me feel skinnier and give myself more body confidence. And I'd already kind of spent most of the money in my head already before I'd even actually spent it. And I literally had no self-worth. Now, why was I feeling like this, and what influences how we behave with money? So how we feel and behave with money is driven by external factors such as the media, social media, our family, our friends, but then we also have the internal influences. So things like our personality, our belief systems, and our experiences. Now, my family life growing up was pretty crap, to be honest. My parents divorced when I was very little. I was really badly bullied at school, and I had just had no self-confidence or self-worth. Also involving lots of childhood traumas. And one of the memories that I remember writing about when I was writing my money story was about an instance when I stole some chewing gum when I must have been about 8 or 9 years old. And I remember going to Sainsbury's, and I remember taking this chewing gum, and I remember getting caught when I got home, and my dad came round, and I was very badly told off. But actually, when I look at that occasion and the emotions around that, I literally just didn't hold any value on money whatsoever. And that really impacted how I felt about money growing up. Now, we all have a story to tell about money. We don't often talk about it because it's still a really taboo subject. We'd rather talk about sex than talk about money, like completely crazy. But we all have a money story, and it is one that tells us a lot about our self-worth, and it plays out in almost every single other area of our life as well. So our money story starts from when we're teeny tiny, and the beliefs that we developed, mainly come from our families. The messages that we hear growing up have a huge impact on how we feel about money. And then they kind of sit in our subconscious minds, and they become our internal belief system, which then drives how we behave with money. And this then becomes the money story that we believe to be true. So we anchor every thought we have about money on our belief systems, even if they're not true. And this creates money blocks, and this is what stops us from making any progress, because that something is holding you back. Now, we all make money decisions pretty much every single day. So start to notice your thoughts and your emotions that are driving your money decisions. How do you feel when you have to deal with the day-to-day decisions about money? Are you making your money decisions from a place of fear? Are you attempting to maybe control a situation? Are you making them from a place of openness and trust in yourself and your life and your ability? Do you feel like you're in a bit of a fog and you're confused when you make money decisions? There's no need to kind of make any judgment here, but just simply kind of notice what those feelings are and be aware to them and write down what they are for you. Now, what's also interesting is the way that we spend and the way that we save, and how this is reflected in the way that we give and the way that we receive, what we value, what we believe that we deserve, and what we have kind of give ourselves permission to achieve, what we believe is possible through our experiences. And this might come as a surprise, but our relationship with money also plays out in our love relationships, because many people become frustrated that they've tried all sorts of practical tips and strategies to transform their relationship with money, but yet they continue to get the same disappointing results. Maybe you can relate to this. But this is because money is largely emotional. So I worked in my capacity as a financial professional, financial advisor. I go into the financial services arena doing lots of speaker events to actually get other financial advisors thinking about how do we emotionally make decisions about money. Because if we're not thinking about that or talking about how do we emotionally feel about money and how do we behave around money, then there's no point in setting things like spending plans or investment plans or financial plans. They could be the best financial plans in the world, but you would never stick to them if your relationship with money is coming from an area of scarcity or negativity. And it kind of explains why, although practical tips and tools are really important, your emotional relationship to money has a massive influence on the results that you get from money, whether the emotion is empowerment or disempowerment, shame or pride, inspiration or guilt. To create authentic wealth, it's really important to understand the emotions that are driving those money decisions. Now, your money story can completely sabotage your plans for wealth and financial freedom. And to finally break free and reach the wealth that you seek, you've really got to think about rewriting your money story. Now, everyone has a money story. Nobody is exempt from this. You may spend way beyond your means because it gives you that high. You may find it easy to spend on others, like your children, for example, but not on yourself. That's a common one that I come across. You may save every single pound that you earn because you're driven by the fear that you'll never be financially secure. Or you may be an entrepreneur who struggles with deserving when it comes to pricing your services. Now, I've learned firsthand from a completely denying and restrictive childhood to shopping to fill a void that it was impossible to create sustainable financial foundations whilst I was driven by my money story that I just couldn't see. But once I understood those feelings and beliefs that were driving my behaviors, I was really able to quickly make different money decisions. If you think about it, we're all kind of born with this blueprint of abundance and success. So I think of my 8-year-old, I've got 2 boys. My 8-year-old just thinks that he can completely rule the world, and it's inspirational, it's lovely. And with most kids, they have this kind of overconfidence because they haven't kind of yet formulated and been influenced by all of these things that influence us as adults. Now, obviously, they start to get into that when they start to get onto social media, if they're on tablets, if they're watching television. They're constantly surrounded and bombarded by different messages from society, from culture, from religion, from school, from their friends, from us as parents. But our individual blueprint can become quite corrupted by our early money experiences and by what goes on at the mental and emotional level. Now, this is one area that I talk quite passionately about in terms of what can we do to instill good money beliefs and habits with our children. And I won't kind of go into that in today's video, but if you think about what positive messages can you give your kids, we establish our relationship with money by the age of 7. So even from the age of 2 or 3, when you're role playing out shops and all of those great things that you get to do with little ones, it's thinking about the importance and what behaviors and messages are you giving to your kids. One common statement that I always hear parents say actually to their kids is we can't afford that. So you're wandering around Tesco's and your toddler's kicking and screaming, I want this. and you know, it just comes out. You're like, we can't afford it. And it's thinking about how you can reframe that message into something that's a bit more positive, because actually what you're saying there is that money is scarce, that you can't create money. So often if my son says that, you know, I'll just talk to him about, well, if we're choosing to spend our money on this today, but if you want to spend your money on that, then we need to think about saving for that. I'm going off on a bit of a tangent there, but it's the unconscious mind. It's your beliefs that affect your decisions, your actions, and also your inactions. You know, it will affect what you choose not to do as much as what you choose to do. And many people focus on creating more money consciously, yet at the unconscious level, they might have blocks or limiting beliefs that are stopping them. So some typical kind of common money beliefs are things like, you know, I don't deserve to have money. I shouldn't earn more money than my partner, you know, because I'm a woman. That's a common one, particularly if you've grown up with a traditional kind of husband and wife, where husband goes out to work, wife looks after the children. Then often that can be a block for a lot of people, and particularly for women. It may be that people that have money are bad, or that money is evil, or money destroys worthwhile relationships, or I shouldn't spend money on myself because it's selfish or extravagant, or I have lots of money, if I have lots of money, I'll just be like those rich people that I don't actually like. It could be that you have to work yourself. You feel like you have to work yourself to exhaustion to make more money. You know, what's that phrase that we're always taught as a kid? Like it's work harder. Yeah, that's what our parents always said to us, right? Work harder. Now, we've all heard about people who have absolutely nothing, and then they win the lottery. They become millionaires only to find, you know, a year or so later, they've spent it all. And that's because they have money blocks and self-sabotage their own ability to kind of hold on to that money. Now, the laws of attraction tell us that what you focus on is what you create. Now, without kind of getting too woo-woo about this, you can think about whether you have an abundant mindset or a scarcity mindset. So do you think more about financially struggling, or do you think more about being wealthy? So be honest with yourself with this. You know, do you feel more in scarcity, or do you feel more in abundance? Because the thoughts that you dwell on and the stories that you tell yourself can create leaks of valuable kind of sources of energy that you can no longer have for the shifts that you're trying to make in your life or in your relationship or in your business. So think how long it takes you to move from one task to another, you know, from coaching a client to recording a video, or picking the kids up from school to then writing a blog. You know, it uses up energy. And if you're kind of using up some of that energy on negative messages, or with that kind of scarcity mindset, then you're wasting energy that you could be directing to a mindset of abundance. Now, because your subconscious beliefs about money will sabotage all the good intentions that you have about creating wealth, often without you even realizing that you're sabotaging your success. You may have a big dream to grow your business and change the world, but then you self-sabotage your success by undertaking actions that take you off course. Now, some of the common ways that we typically kind of sabotage ourselves are feeling undeserving or unworthy of money, spending excessively and going into debt, not saving any money, not charging for your services or keeping the prices very low, maybe ignoring bills or paying them late, maybe not tracking your expenses because you've got this fear of, you know, kind of judging yourself about what you're spending, fear of rejection or failure, imposter syndrome, you know, not feeling good enough, not feeling experienced enough. There's always another thing you've got to learn or do before you get started. That's a really common one for a lot of female entrepreneurs. It's like, I need to learn this, and this before I can even get started. When actually just to get started will build that momentum and your confidence. But you know, if we're coming from that space of scarcity and imposter syndrome, then sometimes that's easier said than done. Now, if you want to change your results, you need to change your beliefs. And in order to release blocks that are in your way, you've got to first find out the stories that are holding you back. Uncovering your financial past and then looking at your current money stories will really give you a clear idea of what limiting beliefs have carried over from your financial past to your current money story and where you are today. Now, there are 4 steps to rewriting your money story, releasing those money shames, and owning your worthiness. Now, I'm going to talk you through those steps now. This may be quite emotional for some of you, so just kind of be prepared for this. If you're listening to this and you've got people around you, perhaps do these particular steps when you're by yourself, or perhaps put on some nice kind of mellow, calm music in the background, or even just light a candle, something that kind of creates that space for you. So step one, the first step is to kind of claim where you are now. So ask yourself these questions to begin to discover your beliefs about money. So what did your childhood look like in regards to money? Did your family have money, or was there never enough? What role models did you have in your childhood, and particularly around money? What are your beliefs about money today, and what does that symbolize for you today? So think about those messages that you heard growing up. How do you think they impact you or have impacted you in how you feel about money today? And what does money symbolize for you today? The third question you can think about here is, what is your biggest fear about money? Kind of get it out there, bring the elephant into the room. What is your biggest fear about money? And then finally, how have you sabotaged yourself with money? What stories are you telling yourself that keep getting you stuck? Are they messages of scarcity? Is it that you don't feel like you're good enough, or you'll never reach that potential, or that wealthy is you don't attract wealth? What are those things that you're telling yourself? And look at what you're gaining from those messages. Now, sometimes you don't realize what you're gaining by holding on to your story. So list out some of the ways that you're benefiting from your story. So for example, if your dad always said to you, save a proportion of your income, or if you don't have the money, don't spend it. That's a common one. That's a really positive message to bring forward with money. But it can also be a challenge, because if you were always told to always save, you may find that you find it difficult to spend. And so you may be holding on to the thoughts around the kind of scarcity of money, that you've got to hold on to it. So think about some of the benefits of holding on to those messages. And then think about some of the challenges of holding on to some of those messages. Step 2 is to think about your financial intentions. So you're not focusing kind of solely on the money. The focus is on the impact that money will enable you to do in the world. So one of the byproducts of making an impact just happens to be making money, right? So you won't make the money that you want to make until you have kind of real purpose of that money. Now, it's really difficult to chase your money goals when you don't know why you're chasing them. What do you want more money for? What would more money allow you to do? What is your why? How does that impact on the clients that you're working with? And how will making more money impact your life? How will you impact your community and the causes that you support by making more money? Having more money means what? What happens when you get more money? What happens when you have a little bit more money to spend or to earn? What impact would that have for you? So finish that sentence. Having more money means what? Step 3, flipping the coin and rewriting your story. So when you think about your money story, what would the opposite belief be? What would it look like, and what would it feel like? And write out that new story, because it's the opposite belief that you actually want to adopt in this. So if that belief is, for example, let's think, I'm just trying to think of what. So if that belief is, I am not capable of earning this much money, then if you were to reframe that, or sort of flip the coin, so to speak, that what would it mean if you were deserving to be earning more money? What would that do to your bank balance? What would it enable you to do? What would it enable you to do to change the world? What's your mission? What's your purpose? What would that enable you to do? Because your money story can sabotage your plans for wealth and financial freedom. And even the word financial freedom, a lot, this is badged around a lot. Financial freedom. What does that actually mean? If you were to have financial freedom in your life, what would that mean? What would that enable you to do? It's these kind of phrases that I think are really useful to kind of think about. So after you've looked at your financial intentions as step 2, then the next one is thinking about, after you finish those sentences, flip the coin and rewrite your story. And then the next step is then about taking action. So what actions do you now need to take in order to make this happen? So for example, if you have a scarcity mindset and you're not even looking at your bank account and looking at what you're spending, one of those actions could be to look at your bank account and look at what you're spending. I call it getting financially naked. I really try and make it just fun and taking away some of the emotion around this. That could be one action that you could do and commit yourself to rewrite that story. And rather than coming from a place of scarcity and fear, is coming from a place of abundance and confidence and control. Now, if you're undervaluing your services, perhaps in your business, or you're afraid to tell people your prices, then be brave and tell them, increase your prices, put them on your website, put together a message that can go out on Facebook when you get inquiries that come in. Now, if you keep going deeper into debt, for example, or maybe you're afraid to look at your financial picture, then instead of kind of burying your head in the sand, maybe think about facing the facts, looking at your balances on your credit cards, and maybe start by building some momentum with paying off the smallest credit card that you have first, and make that an intentional goal. Because it will build momentum. And the more positive you are with that belief that you can do that, the more momentum you're going to build and the bigger results that you're going to get at the end of that. Now, if you feel like you can't save because money comes in and it goes out, right? This is where I was in my 20s. Then maybe just start skimming off like £5 a week into a savings plan and keep building on that, create that momentum. If need be, automate it. You can, there's some fantastic money apps on the market right now. I use Plum. It plugs into Facebook via my bank account, which sounds weird. So I connect it to my bank account, and then it operates through Facebook. The Facebook BOP, the little automated messages that come in, and it tells me it's going to automatically save money every month, and I can just say yes, that's great, or no, I don't want it to do that. So there are lots of easy ways that you can help to automate things like that. Reclaiming your power in your relationship to money isn't, it's not just going to happen overnight. It occurs when you choose to take 100% responsibility for your relationship with money. Now, when you don't know what's driving those money decisions, your journey with money can just feel really hard, like you're kind of walking through tar. And if you feel like your money circumstances are happening to you, and they're happening through you and for you, then you're probably likely to be in what they call victim mindset. Now, I'm not passing any judgment on you if you do feel like that. This isn't about judging you or anybody else. This is just about recognizing that if you're in victim mindset, it's time to kind of take back that power and reclaim your relationship with your money. And so you may be kind of living as a victim of your money story if you hear yourself thinking or voicing the same story over and over again about something that's relative to your finances that you wish was different. And if you keep saying to yourself, I wish I didn't have debt, or I wish it wasn't so hard all the time, then you may be living in that kind of victim mindset, and we need to get you out of that. Now, it could be that you live in a state of longing for something for days or months or years, and you're believing that it's just not achievable for you. Or you find yourself experiencing a sense of scarcity or lack in multiple ways throughout any given day, such as I'm not getting enough sleep, or I've not got enough time, or I've not got enough friends, or I've not got enough money. And most of us assign all sorts of meanings to money. But the truth is that money in itself is neutral. It's a currency, right? It's a resource that we can choose to use in a multitude of different ways. And reclaiming your power in your relationship to money begins by understanding the beliefs that are driving those decisions. So a couple of thoughts. Do you feel like any of these things? So do you feel like you blame others for money issues? Maybe your partner or a previous spouse? Maybe you've been through a divorce and you're kind of blaming your partner for those money issues. Or you blame your family, or you blame your employer. I don't get paid enough, for example. Or do you hear yourself kind of saying, I believe I'm just really unlucky when it comes to money? Or I don't share my successes with my friends because I fear that they'll resent me or they'll judge me. Or maybe you might say, I believe that it's my responsibility to give most of my money to those who have less. Or maybe you hear yourself saying, I just comfort myself with shopping or food or alcohol or whatever that vice is, even though it frequently leads to overspending and potentially into debt. Or maybe it's something else. But if any of those are familiar with you, then when you reclaim responsibility for your relationship with money, then you're kind of saying to yourself, my past money decisions and the results that happen from that do not dictate what is possible for me to create for my future. You're kind of saying, that was then and this is now. So what is your self-limiting belief or behavior that you are showing up with every single day? How does it impact you right now on your life and your business? Get cross about it. Like, I remember I got to the stage in my 30s where I'd done a lot of work on this in my 20s, and I was coming into my 30s and I was having my children, and I got really cross about it. I was like, for goodness sake, all this money I'm spending, I could be putting this aside for the kids' future, or with the potential that if we wanted to send them to private school or university, that I'd have that money there. And I got really cross about it. So get cross about it. Like, what are you self-sabotaging? What are you holding on to? Are you using it as an excuse to avoid doing something? What is the financial cost of you holding on to that, holding on to that self-sabotaging belief? Now, I want you to show you the power of owning your worthiness. So if you for a moment abandoned whatever belief you're holding on to, what would become possible for you? What would that enable you to do personally? What would that mean for your health? What would that mean for your relationships? Yeah, what would that mean to how you feel about yourself? Yeah, this is about stepping into new possibilities. Now, I want you to create your own empowering wealth statement, your own money mindset statement, if you like, that you can own, completely own. It's 100% yours, nobody else's. Now, I'm going to give you a couple of examples, but I want you to think about your own. So it could be maybe self-responsibility. I'm 100% responsible for my own self-worth around money. Or it could be, I am capable of making decisions about money. Or I am capable of making decisions about money with confidence. Or maybe I am making decisions about money with the future that I deserve to have. Or, anything that springs to mind when you're thinking about what's holding you back, what do you need that to look like and feel like in order for you to release that message. Now, you want to give yourself kind of repeated exposure to this newfound belief. So I want you to record this statement on your phone. So grab your phone, go into the audio, just record yourself saying that statement. You may have come up with 2 or 3 here, but if you record yourself saying that statement and play it to yourself every single morning for 21 days, so it's scientifically proven it takes at least 21 days for us to create new habits. So I'd like you to, that will be your action from this, is to write that statement. So write out your story, rewrite your story, think about the impact that's going to create for you, and then write a positive money statement that you can use every single day for the next 21 days. And then what I want you to do is to congratulate yourself for any small changes that you've created or taken action with right now. Because, it will take time for these messages to become your new money story. This isn't kind of an instant thing, but making small daily changes will really help you to take action and live in your kind of new designed money story. One of the tasks that I often get clients to do as well is to sometimes to draw out that money story. If you're a particularly creative entrepreneur, or you're very visual and you like doing mind maps, or you like your Pinterest boards, or you like having some visual graphs. I've got one just behind me that you can't see. If you're very visual, draw out what that money story looks like. What does that life of abundance actually look like, and what does it feel like? You could color it in, perhaps use color, and if you are going to use color and that works for you, think about, what is that color? Is that color in your brands if you're running your own business? Are you surrounded by that color? Do you wear that color? It could just be on a nail varnish, or a wristband, or just something small that you can connect to think about that consciously creating that mindset of abundance rather than the opposite, that scarcity. Because every one of us deserves complete abundance and worthiness. So don't let your stories tell yourself and keep holding you back from financial success, because you are entirely capable of rewriting those stories, understanding what those beliefs are that are self-sabotaging you, recreate that story. What do you need, and what is that going to get you for your life, your personal life, your business relationships, your personal relationships, your kind of financial and overall well-being, because you are completely capable of this. Thanks for listening, guys.